Hi again everyone, today we're going to mod chip a Dreamcast. To do this we're going to use a soldering iron, a Dreamcast of course, a 4-wire Dreamcast mod chip from consolegoods.co.uk or Rob Webb, our glue gun, screwdriver and our electrical tape. So let's make a clear way and then disassemble the Dreamcast. Right, so for Dreamcast disassemble it, you just flip it upside down like the Saturns and the Mega Drives, and at one of the corners here you've got a modem, so just squeeze there and pull forward and the modem comes free, and you've got a screw there. So remove that screw, there we go, and then you've got one in the other three corners, so I'm going to remove them and come back to you. Right, so with all 4 screws removed, the lid just lifts off, like so. There's no ribbon cables to worry about, so just lift off and put somewhere safe. Now we're at the main unit here. So what we want to do first is remove this power board that you can see here. It's got 2 screws in it, one here and one here. So remove this ribbon first, like so, and then undo this screw and this screw. Right, so now for removing this board, if you see this bit here, it's like the Saturn, it's got 5 pins coming through. So you want to pull from like here and just pry it upwards. It's also got a little clip on the side here that you just push down. So push that down and then lift the power board free, like so. And just come loose, give it a little rock. And also take this piece of plastic, which is an insulating shielding, take that off with it as well, and put the power board and that shielding somewhere safe. Right, the next step is the GD-ROM. 2 screws here, and it's got 1 screw on this side here. So remove these screws. Right, so with those screws out, put them 3 somewhere safe as well. Now we lift from this side here, and there's just a bit of force, just lift up and it'll come free. There we go, like so. And then put that somewhere safe. Right, so we're getting close to the main board now. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to remove this fan shield in here. So it's got 2 screws, one here and one here. So just remove them now. Put them somewhere safe. And the fan assembly just lifts up like that. It's got a ribbon cable that's connecting. Stick this back. Connecting here on this board. So I'm just going to give it a little tug on the plastic, not on the cable, and it comes free like so. So just remove the fan assembly, and again put it somewhere safe. Right, now we're going to work on this front controller port. 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so with those 4 screws out, again, put them somewhere safe. And before you just lift this front bit up, you need to remove another ribbon cable. So a ribbon cable from the controller port curls around and goes into the board. Pull it free from the main board, like so. And then this unit will just lift away, like so. And then we're getting close to being done. So the last bit of shielding, we've got 3 screws at the back there, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and then 2 at the side here. So I'm just going to remove all them and then come back to you. Right, so that's all them screws removed, all 8 of them, from the main board shielding. So put them again somewhere safe. So now this shielding will just lift off, but you might find it's rather stiff, because it has never come off before. So just pry it from a few corners like that till it comes free, and then just lift it away like so. So now we're at our main board where we want to do our soldering work. Here it's the BIOS chip. Let's get a better angle, and we're soldering to leg 28 of this chip, which is around here. Here we're going to draw power, positive and negative, and one more solder point to that transistor there. So you can see on the board it's marked positive there, so that's where the red side is going to go, and the black wire is going to go to this side. So I'm going to put the black side in first. So hear that pulls. Right, so that's a black in. Bit of a shaky hand today, which is not good when you're soldering. And red into the other side. So there we go. Red in, give it a little tug. Black in. That's positive and negative. Then down to this bottom transistor, we take the yellow wire, and it's to the bottom left here, so it's this one here. little tug like so, and then the hardest solder now to this BIOS chip, like 28. I'm going to move the camera so you can see, because it's the only one I'm doing from this side. There we go. So that's that one soldered in. So that's all 4 wires soldered in. Right, so now that we've got the chip soldered in, what we want to do is hot glue all the points. So we're going to start with the yellow wire. Let me just clear that little glue. Put a dab of hot glue over the point, like so. The red and the black point, we're going to do one dab and get the yellow wire locked in there as well. So start on the yellow wire, like so. So quite a big blob there. Hold them 3 in place, like that dry. First glue the point, like so. Just like that dry. So all 4 wires are together. So if you can see there, I've got all the 4 wires together. I'm just going to put a bit of glue in just to hold them all like that. And let that dry. And then we're just basically reassembling. Right. So now we're ready to reassemble. Right, so the first step is we want to replace this shielding. This is where we're going to bring the wires up through. So you do that before you place it on. So lift the wires through, like that, and then slowly just place it back on into place. It just fell into place there. And then just overhang the Modchip like that while we reassemble. Before we go any further, at the front, put this bit back on. The control port front. We'll be able to do it later. Right, and then basically return our screws from this board here. So that's what we're going to do now. Right, once you've got all those screws in, lift your Modchip and hang it over by where the modem sits, and get the GD-ROM unit. Now slot, have the wires going down like that. Can you see that? There we go. So just naturally bend them with your hand down like that and place the GD-ROM back in place and clip it in. Right, so this is where the Modchip is now going to sit, here at the front of the GD-ROM unit. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to seal it in tape just to insulate it. So let's get our tape, a nice piece of wire, of tape. And we'll sandwich it in. So, fold over like so, and over again like so, and then do another piece of tape for the other half of it. Same thing again. I'm just going to sandwich it in tape. Like so. And then it could just sit loose there, but we're not going to just let it sit loose. We're just going to make another tiny piece of double-sided tape. So, cut a length of tape, fold it back on itself, like so, and then fold it back on itself again, and then you've got just a nice piece of double-sided tape. Lift up the Modchip, sit it down on the GD-ROM board, like so, and then sit the Modchip on that tape. So that just holds it nice, secure and insulated in place. So let me show you like that. That's the Modchip installed. Now we're going to return the 3 screws that go into the GD-ROM. Right, so now with those 3 screws returned, 2 in that side, 1 in that side. Next I'm going to do the fan and fan assembly, and the front panel as well. So, pop your controller ports back into place, like so. Turn the ribbon cable into the main board. Give it a nice firm push and it'll go in. And the fan back into the fan assembly there. So I'm going to put the 2 fan assembly screws in first. So that's the fan assembly back in place and the ribbon connected to the controller port board. Then we place the 4 screws going in the controller port board that hold them in place. Right, with that reinstalled. Right, so next we want to replace the power board. What we want to do first though is get this wire and lay it down underneath where the shielding is going to sit and past the screw holes on the left. So like so, like that. Just took it out the back for a second. And then what you want to do is get your plastic shielding. It's got a hole in it. Put it over that plastic stump and it'll just sit in place like so. And then hold it in place and just bring this wire out this way for a second. Right, so while it's sat like that now, we turn the power board into place. So those pins go over those into this bit here and just push down. And get your wire lined up correctly for where it's going to sit. Right, so push it all back into place like so. Sits over the pins nice and tight. Make sure it's sitting flush at the back there. And then reinsert, well, don't reinsert the connector yet. Pop in your 2 screws, so one next to the connector and one at this end here. Then reinsert the power cable for the power switch, like so. Right, now get the lid of the unit and place the lid back on the top like so, and turn it upside down. So return the screw that belonged under the modem, like so, and flip it round and stick in an X screw and the last one at the front. And the last step is to replace our dial-up modem or broadband adapter. So get it in place, just slots home like so. Right, and then we've got a fully reassembled Dreamcast now with the Modchip installed. So let's go test it. Right, so we're ready to do some testing. This is a regular Dreamcast, one that we haven't modded. I'll show you what happens when we try to boot an import with it. So we've got here a Japanese copy of Silent Scope. So let's pop it in and see what happens when we try to boot this. Dreamcast swell. And it goes to the menu. And if we go to play, it says please insert a game disc. So it will not boot imports. Right, let's shift the game over to our modded Dreamcast and see what happens. Take out that one, pop it in this one, and we need to change the TV because this one's not on RF, this one's on SCART. Right, so let's give this guy power. And of course it wants a date setting. Right, but then you can see it's now going to go and boot the game. Which is done there. So it's booted the game first time, so our Modchip's successful. Few notes, it's quite pointless Modchip in a Dreamcast. You can just use the Utopia Boot disk to swap in for imports or backups. The Modchip itself won't let you use backups, it'll only support imports. So its only real feature is auto booting of import games. Well, you can see it's working. Let's have a quick bash at this. It's possible one-handed. Hey, got one-handed. Alright, so another successful modification. If you enjoyed this video, please rate and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye everybody.